Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to Chess Classics You Must Know episode 21. This is Sagar Shah and a warm welcome to everyone in the chat. We are going to have a very exciting session today where we are going to review a great game. Today, no quiz for that. You can already see here above me that it's the game between two legends of the game. We have Gary Kasparov versus Anatoly Karpov. Two amazing players, and we're going to get right into it. So, this is a warm welcome to everyone here. What you need to do is you need to guess at 10 different moments what was the move that was played by black, that is Gary Kasparov, in this game. So you're going to take the black pieces for yourself and try to immerse yourself in the game that way. I would recommend to all those who want to get a real game like feel can have a chessboard by their side. You can get it right now, set it up, and then have a book and a pen with you so that whenever a move is asked to you, you can play it on the board. And then you can play through the moves that I'm showing here, and then whenever I ask you to guess, you can write down in the notebook. It would then help you because that is exactly the move that you have to make. You can also type down your move in chat. We're going to use the chat chess moves here, that is developed by Keith Mascarenhas, which will help us to see who's going to give the right answer. So shall we get going, guys? Should we begin? I think we should get going. And are you ready? Okay, yes, Aditya Chandrayan, Aditya Narayanan, also Sharvi Chaudhary, Dhruv, Megha, Nishchay, Aryesh, Ira, Utkarsh. Okay, let's go. So, this was the 1985 World Championship match. Okay, so Kasparov and Karpov played a World Championship match against each other. By the way, let me start the timer because we have 1 hour to finish this exactly. Okay, so they played a World Championship match against each other in 1984. It was a huge game, a huge match of 48 games, and it was left incomplete. So the 85 match was filled with a lot of tension. Who will win against whom? So it was a 24 game match, and the first player to reach 12 and a half points would win it. In case of 12-12 tie, then the champion would retain the title. And this was the 16th game, and till the 15th game, guess what the score was? 7.5, 7.5. It was completely even. So we are going into this game with Gary Kasparov playing against the super solid Anatoly Karpov. Now Karpov was supposed to be an amazing positional player while Kasparov liked to attack. So after e4, Kasparov responded with the Caro-Kann defense. Okay, it was the Caro-Kann that was played here. And very solid opening, yeah. Let's see if everyone's okay. Satvik Chess is the one who is alert here. Please make sure that you all are awake. Yeah, exactly, it's the Sicilian. I will keep on testing you with certain things to make sure you are awake. This is not the Caro-Kann, this is the Sicilian. It's afternoon time, 3:30 here, and you might be feeling a bit sleepy. Someone said it's not the Caro-Kann, it's the French defense. Yeah, nice. Okay, so Karpov is white, Kasparov is black. E4, C5, the Sicilian. Knight to F3. The pawn moved to E6. It's one of the main ways to play the Sicilian. Open Sicilian with D4. Pawn takes pawn. Knight takes pawn. And the knight jumped out to C6. Now, what is this opening known as? Guys, what is the name of this opening? Can you tell me? Megha Patra says Kasparov loves Sicilian, so he will surely play. Yes, Kasparov was one of the biggest adherents of Sicilian. He loved it. But he also used to play other openings. I mean, I'm sure he played e4, e5, but Sicilian was the main. Yes, very good. It's the Taimanov. Neelab Borthakur, you are right. Also correct. Karthik Narula, just a famous guy. You are absolutely right. It is known as Sneha Jaswara. It is known as the Taimanov. Very good. So, now one of the normal ways to play is knight to c3 and then maybe queen c7 and the game goes on. But Karpov loved to form the Marozzi bind. So he played the move knight to b5. He is now looking at this square over here to plonk his knight and place it there. So what would the move be here for black? It's a very logical move. It's not for points yet. There are going to be 10 points in this game, but I'm just going to ask you certain things so that you know how to play such positions. Generally, when the knight jumps to b5, with black, you play this move. In order to avoid knight d6 check. What is it? Yes, brilliant. You are absolutely right. Aniket Narayanan, Neelab, Asim Khan, Utkarsh, SB Blade. You are right. The move is d6. You play this move. Now, knight f6 is also possible, as was suggested by just a famous guy here, because you don't really want to give a check. Takes, and then e4 is hanging. It's a good move. It's an interesting move. But after bishop f4, you have something to worry about. These problems here. And if you play e5, then I'll anyway go bishop g5, and then this square has been slightly weakened. But a good suggestion. The right move was d6, controlling there, and then came the move c4. Now, Anatoly Karpov loved to create this structure. What is the name of this structure, guys? What is it called? What do you call this structure? Yogi Sharma, you don't play d5 there because after e takes d5 in such a position, I mean, even though this is not bad to have an isolated pawn, here you have very specific problems with bishop f4, you know. So that's the reason why you don't play d5 too soon. You are still not developed. d6 and c4. Yes, absolutely right, guys. It's called Namit Bir Singh Walia, Krabs, Ankit Patel, Mitesh. You are right. It's called the Marozzi. Karthik Narula, Sheikh Sonil, Virsila Zuster. Nice. It's known as the Marozzi bind. So the pawns on e4 and c4, they want to control black. So main thing that white is telling black is that, look, you cannot break free. So Kasparov says, okay, if I push the pawn right now, okay, my opponent's knight will go back to c3. Then he may get his other knight out via d2. So what I'll do is, I'll first attack the pawn on e4. Okay. Now his knight can go back, but then he has saved a tempi on this move. So white played the move knight 1 c3, and now Kasparov pushed the knight away and he went back knight to a3. Okay. So Karpov must be sitting on his chair like this and telling Kasparov, look, the Marozzi bind has stopped your d5 break and the b5 break, and slowly I'll develop my bishop here, I'll put my other bishop here, I'll castle, I'll get my knight back into the game, queen d2, rook d1, rook c1. I'm just going to build up my position. And Kasparov says, wait, Karpov, I have something really that's going to surprise you for your first point right now, guys. First point. What does black play in this position? Black to play, what do you do? Okay, wonderful. Mohammad Junaid, I'm glad that you had full day of classes and now this is a stress buster for you. So, what is the move here? And I'm going to use the chat chess moves here to check out on the answers that all of you are giving. So, let me know what is the move in this position that Kasparov played. In fact, it may not even be the best move now. But at that point, it was a surprise. It's a surprising move. Okay, let's have a look at what are. Wow, d5, queen a5, e5, knight b4, queen b6, and a very very big congratulations to Dream 11, Amay Pradeep Kanetkar, Vishnu Sharma, Krish Agrawal, Mitesh, Bhavika, SB Blade, Dhruv, and Purba. Now the other moves that are being suggested here, not so illogical. For example, queen a5 that was being suggested, not at all a bad move. Okay, good move, good suggestion. Those who said bishop e7, also a very very good move. Next move you want to castle, it's just normal. But here in this match, Karpov and Kasparov were arguing on this specific line, which was the move d5. And d5 is one of those rebellious moves. So it's like one of those moves where your parents tell you that, hey, look, you should not be going out today. Okay. And you say, okay, fine, I will go out. It's the same thing. Karpov is saying, I have set up the Maroczy bind. You can never play d5. And Kasparov says, are you sure? I will do it right away. And he plays his pawn to d5. Now, it has been proved over the years that this is not the best way for black to play, but it's still quite okay. CD, ED, ED. So white is now a pawn up. You cannot win this pawn because it's protected. But Kasparov plays now the move knight to b4, and a very very interesting move. He's now activated his knight. His knight is kind of stable because there's no pawn on a3 coming right now. He's attacking the d5 pawn over here. So this did happen in the match in the 12th game. So this was not the first time that Karpov saw it and he was like shocked. Oh my god, d5. He had played it already, and in the 12th game, the game had ended in a very quick draw. You know how? Bishop c4. He tried to save the pawn. Kasparov played bg4. He went back. He took. Queen takes. Queen e7. Bishop e3. They took on d5. Knight c2. Knight e3. Knight e3. Queen e6. Castles. Bishop c5. Rook e1 and castle, and the players agreed to a draw here. Now, when a draw like this happens at the World Championship match, who is it a small defeat for? For which side? Do you know this? That when it's like you play this way, you spend months and months of preparation time, and then suddenly your opponent can make a draw in 18 moves. Who is it bad for in such a position, in such games? Yes, absolutely. White. Because not the reigning champion. No. It is bad for the white pieces, player with the white pieces, because at the World Championship level, you usually assume that both the players are well prepped and are at that level. So it's not a question of who is the world champion. It's more a question of who is white. So here, Karpov was pretty sad. You know, he was like, to his team, he went back and said, what are you doing, guys? You know, we should prepare better against Kasparov. We came with this idea and I just had to make a draw in 18 moves. It's not how it works. So his team must have sat down and were like, okay, fine. We will sit the entire night. We will try to figure out a way. And then they came up with this idea, which was to put the bishop on e2. Like Kasparov must have looked at the board and he would have said, well, can I not just take the pawn? You know, I can just take the pawn. Knight takes. Okay. Here, you can take with the knight, but you can also just castle. Now, if knight takes c3, then after queen d8, king d8, b takes c3, the black king is in the center. There is something to worry about, and Karpov would have loved such a position. And otherwise, if you take on a4 here, a3 here, then after knight d5, the position is still complicated. Next move, I want to give a check here and pick this bishop. I have the bishop pair. Okay, you can play short castle as black, which is an interesting move, because after knight f6, queen f6, there is a problem here. Also, if you play ba3, then I'm happy to now take, because your pawns are slightly mangled. So there were defensive possibilities, and actually Kasparov could have taken back on d5 here, but he decided to play bishop c5. Now this was his preparation. He said to Karpov, your pawn here, I'm not interested in this pawn. What I am interested in is your knight on a3. It's not a great piece. It's not so well placed. And I have piece activity. My bishop is open. It can move anywhere. So I am going to play for activity, not go back for a pawn grab. This move is a bad move actually. Later on, they realized it. Can you figure out what should white do? It's not for points, but just what should white play to get an advantage here? Well, Mayur, this was played in 1985, so that's what? 36 years? That's good enough to be in the classics. Yes, Neha Jaswara, Utkarsh Singhal, Aditya Chandrayan, just a famous guy, absolutely. The right move here, and a very interesting move, is bishop to e3. And the reason why this is a good move is that after bishop takes e3, Kasparov would be very, very happy if he took with the pawn. White would take back with the pawn, because now after knight d5, let's say knight d5, he has a nice juicy weakness to attack. But the problem is that here after bishop e3, white has a strong move. What is the move? White to play. What should white play in this position, guys? Yogi Sharma, knight c4 is also possible. It's not a bad move. But this bishop e3 is just very strong. Yes, absolutely, guys. Queen a4 check. And next move, you pick up this knight. And you are a pawn up. So let's say bishop d7. I take on b4. You play queen, maybe queen b6, trying to exchange the queens. I take, and I think white is slightly better here. And this is how the variation could have been kind of refuted, or you can say at least Kasparov would have been in big trouble against Karpov. But Karpov castled here. And Kasparov said, thank you so much. I'm also going to castle. Now, bishop e3 does not work because I'll take. There's no check on a4. Okay. So, the threat now for white is to actually take on for black is to take now on d5. Like black wants to take back his pawn. If he can do that easily, like let's say h3. Okay, just as an example. I take. Okay, queen takes, knight takes. Black can say is completely fine. Position is equal. So Karpov, again, if it ends in an 18-move draw, that is horrible, you know, with white pieces. He will feel like, oh my God, what have I done? I did not try hard enough. So he said, I am going to keep my pawn intact. And he played his bishop to f3. Now, your move with black for the second point in this position, you have to give up the, how do you say, that feeling that you are a pawn down. You have to just play. You just have to play with the flowing pieces. You have to play for activity. Black to play. What do you do here? Black to move. What do you play? For the second point, yeah, this is for the second point. So let's see what are the moves that are being suggested. Very, very nice position here to understand about the imbalance of material against piece activity. Okay, let's just quickly turn our attention to the chat chess moves, and we have a lot of people who have given the right answer. Ninjas Hyper, Pratyush Bansal, Charvi Chaudhary, Dhruv Ramani, Lavanya Arora, just a famous guy, Abhijit Jadhav, Virsela Zuster, Ritik Bansal, and Aniket Narayanan, you guys are absolutely right. The other moves also make some sense, like rook e8, but clearly, guys, bishop f5 is a very, very pretty strong move because your bishop now is really well placed, okay, over here. Now, the opponent played the move bishop to g5. Okay, this move is something that I really liked, and I put it as the third question. I could have actually ignored it as a question, but I decided that let's go ahead with this. Why? Because I wanted to, see if you guys can make such moves in the position. So this is like an open-ended move. There are many right moves here. Black to play. What would you play here? You just have to write down the moves in the chat, guys. Just write down the moves in the chat. Karpov here is very, very happy with his position now because he has saved the pawn, okay? And now he's pinned this knight. Very strong move last, he just pinned the knight. Okay, so the moves, let's have a look at what are the moves that are being suggested here. Queen d6. You see, you guys want to get rid of the pin so much that you want to play queen d6. Remember, keeping the tension sometimes is not so bad. Okay, it's a pin. I understand that he's not letting your knight move, but where does your knight anyway want to move? It cannot go here, it cannot go here. Well, let it be pinned for some time. What's the need to move it? There's also suggestions of h6. Good move. I like the move h6. Good suggestion. Knight d3. Interesting move. Very good. Knight d3 also not a bad move. But the people in the chat who have given the right answer, Aditya Pawar, Sneha Jaswara, Shashank Raj, Kartikeya Chaudhary, Bhavika Salvi, Only Chess by Dhanush, HSFGA, Naman, Naperu Mukesh. Good job. So, the move here that was played by Kasparov was this little move rook e8. And I think these are the moves which are very difficult for many of us to play because we say to ourselves, what is the point of the move? Does it create any threat? There's nothing that I'm going to capture on the e-file. But when you bring in your pieces into the game on the right squares, they will function at some point or the other. So rook e8 is a move I love a lot, and it's a lot to learn from here. Okay. Now, be alert, okay? White should have played the move knight to c4. Okay, get back his knight into the game, and he's doing pretty okay. Position is roundabout even, or maybe slightly better for white. But Karpov now made a critical error with queen to d2. So for your fourth point, guys, what do you play here? If you are alert, you will find the move. White to play. What do you do here? Sorry, black to play. What do you do here? Vishal Kumar, good to know that you received Vedika's chocolates and it is the best. Very nice. See, I gave you a small hint also already. So I want you to now be very careful before answering. Be careful. h6 you can play. You can play h6 on any move. But there's something really good here. Very good. And you're playing against one of white's pieces. That one piece of white is sidelined. We shouldn't let it come back into the game. Let me see. Whoa, nice. Very happy to see so many b5s here. Uditanshu, Ninjas Hyper, Aditya, Goransh, Utkarsh, Lavanya, Ramya, Lakshay, Satvik, and Prince Wazir. Very good job, guys. You played the move b5, and I'm actually very, very proud of you because you are now talking to the knight on a3, and the knight is like, this is not what I signed up for, to sit on the sidelines. Knight c2 is covered by the knight and the bishop. The knight would have loved to come to c4 and then maybe make its way to e3. If you go back to b1, knight c2 will lose an exchange. So all in all, after b5, Kasparov is right back into the game. The reason, very, very simple. The knight on a3 is a bad piece. Okay. Rook a to d1. Karpov is like, it's bad, but I have an extra pawn. I can bring my knight to b1 and later on I'll bring it back into the game. Kasparov said, not so soon, my friend, not so soon. Knight to d3. Now this knight is an absolute monster. It attacks the pawn on b2, attacks the pawn on f2. Remember this. That is why this rook cannot move. Also, it controls the e1 square. e5, f4, so many squares are controlled. There is a term for such a knight. Do you know what the term is? Rohit Athalia, thank you so much. Says, good afternoon, Sagar. Guru Dakshina. Got a chance after a long time to watch you live. Thank you, Rohit, for always supporting and glad that you're following this. So, knight to d3 is known. Oh, nice. Octopus, beautiful. Okay, monster knight, yes, but octopus knight, because octopus is 8. It has 8 arms and the knight also has 8 squares that it controls. So it's a very apt name that is given to such a knight, which is right there and every square it controls is relevant. Okay. Karpov is a man of, he knows where his pieces are poorly placed. He's a man of harmony. He likes coordination. So he played his knight A back to b1 in the hope that the knight can come back into the game. But where is the knight going right now? Not much scope. So now first a little question. h6. Karpov moves back. Of course you don't want to take. If you take on f6, then after queen f6, it's just horrible position for white. There's no pin. But with bishop h4, who knows? There's still some hope. Now, Karpov now pushes the knight away from c3. Now the knight can go to a4. It can also go to e2. If it went back to e2, I believe that Kasparov would have played the move queen b6. Then he would have attacked the f2 pawn even further. And there's a lot of pressure there. So he went knight a4, attacking the bishop. And here, Kasparov dropped his bishop back to d6. Now, Kasparov says in his notes, a position for which I had aimed in my preparatory analysis. Oh my God. This is Kasparov's preparation. This is the level, even in 1985, this is the level at which he prepared. Black has achieved obvious advantage. White scattered his minor pieces about on either flank and are quite unable to coordinate. The placement of the knights being particularly depressing. Just look at this knight. Can't go anywhere. Look at this knight. Can't go anywhere. It's horrible, yeah? But black has the wonderful duo of bishop f5 and knight d3, which completely paralyzes all 3 white major pieces. A very rare occurrence in a practical game. Yes, this is a very rare occurrence, and also against a player of Karpov's caliber, this doesn't happen often. It's because of this inherent greed that we human beings have of material. We want to always grasp material, and here white has an extra pawn, but in his greed of obtaining that, he has become very passive. Now, Karpov said, let's exchange the bishops. Because your bishop would have come to f4, my queen would have got really worried. So I want to exchange the bishops. Now, for the 4th point in this game, what do you play here as black? Now remember always remember a golden rule in chess. A golden rule in chess is bring all your pieces into the game before. If there's something happening right now, if you're winning a pawn, if you're winning material, by all means, go and get it. But if not, why don't you bring all your pieces into the game? What should you do here? I love how you guys are very, very attentive, and all of you have written this answer. In fact, even rook a c8 is right, but there's only one rook that can go to c8. So rook c8 is the correct move. Aditya Pawar, Utkarsh Singhal, Namit Bir Singh Walia, Kartikeya Chaudhary, Goransh, Sahil SSK, Singham, Jagnoor Singh, HSFGA, Shankadeep Parya. Well done. Beautiful. The move is rook to c8. Excellent. Bringing your last piece into the game. And this way, black has all the army in the right position. Now, if you play bishop e2, I was just thinking to myself, let's get rid of the octopus. You know, octopus is worrying me too much. What should black play here? It's not for points, but just think about the move. What do you do here? Always remember, what was the last move that the opponent made? What was the square it was controlling? Now it cannot control anymore. This is actually a 2 to 3 move combination. Yes, Aditya Pawar, Satvik chess, Namit Bir, only chess by Dhanush, SB Blade, very good. Itachi Ucha, Parth, yes, learn with PV, just a famous guy, Paras Boir. The move is knight to e4. And yes, you lose the knight, but chess is a lot about tactics. And now, what do you do here? Black to play. I hope you had seen it, that your knight was hanging, but you can save it. What do you do in this position? Nihilesh, Avishkar Pense, Ninja's Hyper. Well done. The right move is knight takes g3, attacking the queen. Oops, not that way. This way. And the knight cannot even be taken because it's controlled by the bishop. And then next move, you can chop off the bishop on e2. So, here the bishop could not move. Now, just look at this position for 30 seconds. Okay, we are not going to think of anything right now. Just look at the position and ask yourself, where can this bishop go? Okay, it can exchange. Fine. What about this bishop? We just saw it cannot move away from the control of the e4 square. So it is kind of tied up. What about this rook? Oof, bad life. Nothing, no way to come to e1. This rook and queen also limited by this knight, octopus knight. This knight over here wants to come into the game but cannot. Also the same thing for the knight on b1. It cannot move. The pawn on b4 is an absolute monster. It's dominating the knight on b1. Remember, when there are two squares away from a knight, the pawn kind of dominates that knight. So all in all, the white pieces are so clumsy here. And so white said, Abhi kuch to karna padega. I have to do something. I have to get my knight back into the game. And so he played the move b3. What to do? At least get one piece into the game. Now Kasparov said, I have all my pieces in the game. Now it's time to create some threats. How do I create my next threats for the 5th point in the game, guys? What do you play here with black? Black to play. What do you do here? You have to think. You have to think. What is the move? Also, all those people who have found the game somewhere are watching the game and writing the moves. Please avoid it. Because the thing is, you are actually taking away opportunity from people who are thinking on their own and writing the moves. If you are using an engine or if you are seeing somewhere and doing, there's no difference between you and the people who cheat. Try to fight on your own. Try to learn this. Chess is a lot about building up your character. And if you're going to cheat anyway, what's the point of being here? Just so that I call your name, I mean, that there's no benefit of that. So here, it's not so simple actually that this move that was played in this position so many of you are suggesting the move knight e4 Okay, you want to play your knight to e4. Some of you are also suggesting to take on g3. Okay, there are also suggestions of what else? Bishop e5, stopping that move. Very interesting, very interesting. Queen c7. Okay, the thing is with bishop e5, he may take and then anyway go back, so very good. I like your thought, by the way, all those who are thinking this way, bishop e5. But the move that was played in the game and which has been correctly answered by so many of you, I don't know. Yeah, with next question I want all of you to be very very righteous, to be truthful. So these are the ones: Jagnur, Aditya, Kartikeya Singham, Goransh, SB Blade, Ankit Gulati, Ishprit Singh, Sanjeev and Avishkar. You have given the right answer. The move that was played in the game was g5. And you might think that moving your pawn in front of the king is not a good idea. How can we push the pawn? Isn't my king weak? Tell me something, guys. When is it the right time to push your pawns on the flank? Can you tell me when is it the right time? When do you play a move like g5? See, it could also be a weakening move, right? Your king could get checkmated, but Kasparov understood it very well. Shayanak Kundu, you are right. In a way, you are right. But when the center is locked is one thing. No, I would put it even better. When the not the center is locked or closed, but when the center is in your control. Okay, so sometimes this is still a fluid center. If you see, there's a lot of open space in the center. So it's not like a locked center as such, but this knight on d3, it is kind of making it very difficult for white pieces to play. So when it becomes difficult, this move g5, g4. So it's not only that you're pushing the pawn, you also have a threat of trapping this bishop on f3, because as we have seen, bishop e2 will be met with knight e4. Okay, so bishop he took on d6. Now, just so that you know, you cannot really play knight b2, because after knight takes, queen takes, g4, bishop e2, in comes the move. I just want you to quickly tell me, what does black do here? Black to play. Black to play very quickly. What is the move here? Yes, yes, absolutely. This is the right move. And all those who have written here, rook c2, well done. This is the correct move because you win a piece. So, of course, Karpov understands all these tactical nuances. It's a world championship game. So, he takes his time here and he plays the move bishop takes d6. Now, Kasparov recaptures back. And I was wondering to myself, if you can play here knight b2, but then I realized there is the same problem again. Like after knight takes b2, queen takes g4, bishop e2 and rook c2, you lose a piece. So Karpov here played the move g3. Now for your sixth point in this game, what would you do here in this position? Think a bit and try to figure out. What do you do in this position after g3? It's not an easy move actually. It's very, very tricky still, the position. Thank you all the people who are actually trying to think on your own. Try to think on your own. That's going to lead to actual chess improvement. This is for your sixth point here. What is the move that you would play? A very natural feeling, human feeling. I've been reading about this book where you read about all the happy chemicals in your head. You know, about dopamine, about serotonin, about endorphin, also about oxytocin. And I have realized that there are certain things which happen to us naturally. And the same thing happens to chess players. When they see some material hanging, they want to take it. So, this move, I wouldn't be surprised if many of you said that this is the right move, because it's not at all a bad move. And if we see our chat chess move, bishop h3, knight e4, and knight d5 are the main moves in the position. Excellent. So, here, if we see bishop h3 move, makes a lot of sense if it were not that your knight was hanging on d3. That is a big problem. So let's not play that move here. Knight e4 now is a trouble because after queen d3 there is no bishop to take on g3. So that also loses a piece. And all those who said knight e5 here, well, after bishop g2, you have to still figure out a way to continue this position. I mean, it's not the end of the road. Knight d5 is another move which is logical and I think could be played. But Kasparov's move is just tremendous. It shows a deep understanding and a feel for the position that it's not important to win this pawn. Rather, he plays his knight to d7. Now, how many of you could actually think of this move? Knight going back to d7 is coming here to e5 and it will be well placed. Also, it kind of dominates the knight on a4. Now, Karpov played the move bishop to g2. A natural question to me came that, why can't he play knight b2 in this position? But then after knight e5, this knight kind of reinforces its brother here. So, it's not... He went bishop g2 and now this is for your 7th point, guys. This is a tough one. This is very, very tricky. I want you to think, what is your opponent's plan and therefore what should you play here? Mayur says, I usually do think of backward moves, but here I didn't. Yes, Gizmo girl, you're right. Backward moves are tougher to spot. Regrouping the knight. I agree with you. But it's like, if you find where are the weak spots, what are my opponent's ideas, then you can find it. I really like the next move. It's tremendous. It's tremendous. The next move is just too powerful. Think what your opponent wants to do. If you give the move to your opponent, let's say, I just say pass. Okay, this is the way in which you can think, and it's white to play. Then white will go knight to b2. Okay, now if I take, queen takes, and I jump in with the rook to c2, then after queen d4, white is, don't you think it's slowly unraveling his... Yes, you may win a pawn, but I already have an extra pawn. And after knight d2, my knight can come to c4. I feel that white is back in the game. I don't want him to get activated. I want to stop his idea. I want to stop his plan of knight b2. How do I do it? What is the move? In this position, it is black to play. Stop this idea here. It's a very nice move, that is. Yes, Ninja's Hyper. Sal's the music brand. Pratik Goyal. Sarang Gupta. Chess Brilliance. Fantastic. Namit Bir Singh Walia. Very good. Queen to f6. This move that Kasparov played is just all about prophylaxis. I'm stopping your knight from coming to b2. Now, when I think again about this position, I realize that actually it was after knight d7 more important to play knight b2 than to actually go back with the bishop on g2. If I had played knight b2, then after knight e5 and now bishop g2, at the very least, I would have been able to exchange my one bad piece with one of his good pieces, at least. Although the position still remains bad. So I think Karpov was just a little bit flustered there, and he allowed queen f6. He played a3 in this position. Just as a small question to you, how many of you want to take this pawn? Say yes. How many of you don't want to take this pawn? Say no. Yes or no? Do you want to take this pawn? Darshit Sharma, Karpov played his bishop back to g2 because he thought knight e5 will come and attack this bishop, so he just dropped it back. It was a lazy move. I would say it was not a move that he thought too much about. Very nice. Everyone in the chat is like, no, how can you even ask us this question? This pawn is simply dominating the knight on b1. It is a complete dominator. If you take on a3, then after knight a3, white is doing okay. His main problem is these knights. And if the knight can come back into the game, why not? So the move that was played is a5. Very strong move. Just protecting the pawn, making sure that the knight on b1 cannot move anymore. Now ab4, ab4. So complete control here, feeling nice. World Championship match, 7.5 points each. This is the 16th game. In order to become the world champion, you need to reach 12.5 points. So a win here would be amazing. Karpov plays his queen to a2. Now, Kasparov very quietly drops his bishop back. This is also an art to understand that the opponent can't do much here. My question to you is, what was Kasparov's idea if his opponent played knight to d2 here? What was he planning to play? Black to play, it's not for points. It's not for points yet. But what would he play here? Yes, Vishnu Sharma, Jean-Isaac Pichot, Sparsh, Virsela Zuster, Red Phoenix, Namit Birwalia, Paras Goir, Abhinav Kumar, Aditya Pawar, Deep Raj, Venkat Rangan, Aditya, Sneha Jaswara, Subhash Arvind. Beautiful. The move is rook to e2. The rook belongs here. The knight is pinned. It is trouble. So here Karpov played the move d6, and well, he had some ideas. His idea was, if you take here, I'll play knight d2, you go rook e2, I'll get knight c4. At least that's what he thought. Or rather, he could have also thought that now that the queen is not on f6, it no longer controls the f3 square, so I can play bishop f3. Earlier, he couldn't do that because queen takes f3, knight takes f3, and rook takes a2. You would be down a piece. So here, his plan was to give this pawn as a bait and ask Kasparov, take it. At least I'll get something to play for. But Kasparov was like, no. Nothing doing. I'm going to even further limit you. So, black to play here. What would you play in this position? It is for your 9th point here. What do you play in this position? Let's see. Guys, be alert about this position. There are many good moves, but I just want to see if you can figure out what to do here. And you know what your opponent wants to do. You don't want to fall for it. Yes, you want to take this pawn, but not now. Stop him. Yeah, a lot of you want to play knight e5, also possible. Let's just have a look at what are the moves that are being suggested here. g4, yes. Rook e6, okay, interesting move. In order to take that pawn, right? Yeah, possible. Rook 8, yeah, but the knight is, I don't want to move my rook there. Also, it may be taken, yeah, from the bishop on g2. So not rook 8. Knight e5, yes, possible. But the right move is g4. It's a very, very strong move. And also it does prevent bishop f3 later on when the rook will jump to e2. Now I'm free to take this pawn. Karpov understood that knight d2 is not possible. If he plays knight d2, he will jump in rook e2. So he played reluctantly the move queen d2. Now, for your 10th point in this position, what would you play here as black? I really like this move also from the fact that how Kasparov managed to actually, think. How was he being so able to have so much faith in his position that here he's not at all thinking about winning this pawn or something like that. He just very calm. Just played. What did Kasparov do here in this position? What he did here was so tremendous actually. What Kasparov did, he just played his king to g7. I mean, I don't know if many of you found this move on your own, but if you are able to spot such moves, Kunal Kashyap, Abhishek Singh, Mohammad Azam, Bike Hustler, Red Phoenix, Singham, Akash Nil Roy, Chess Brilliance, this is tremendous. H5 is what Surya Prabha, Shubham, Paras Boyer, SB Blade, Venkat Rangan, Aditya D, Ajin George, Deepam Shah, Brilliant but Lazy, and Audio Story said. And you guys are also absolutely right. He could have played H5 as well. But generally, you don't want to allow your opponent's queen to come in. So he played king to G7. It's also very calm move. F3 was played here. Karpov needs some space. He needs to do something. He sees that his knight cannot come into the game, nor can this knight. So he plays F3. Black simply takes the pawn. Wins the pawn here. White takes on G4. He takes this pawn here. And now a check on D4. So he played his king to H1. And now the final move that you need to find in order to, kind of crush your opponent. You are better. You are close to winning here. But what was the move that Kasparov played here? That was brilliant. Like he just finished him off. What did he do? Think. Namit Bir Singh Walia has suggested an interesting move. Okay. Namit Bir, think more. Think more. What do you want to do apart from that? Yes, Bishop E4 is one suggestion that is coming in. But guys, remember that you have to be very, very careful. Like for example, take Queen G2. White is still fighting on. It's not over. It's not over. And another move suggested was N7 E5. Yes, but after H3, what next? Do you have something really solid prepared? Maybe not. Maybe not. So the move that was played and the move that was really tremendous. And let me see if all of you have found it. Bishop E4 is your main move. I think it's not a bad move. It's not at all a bad idea to play Bishop E4. But let's say there's also a possibility to go Knight B2. Yes, it's maybe losing a piece, but you can't take with your knight because queen takes d4. If you play bishop g2, I'll take with the queen. Now if knight b2, your queen is hanging. If you play queen b2, there is rook d3. Yeah, but rook d3, there is rook e2. Yeah, maybe that is strong. So I can actually take and take on d7. So here it is important not to give up control. The move that was played here was knight f6, a very, very brilliant move, and actually not many could find this move. It's not easy. Kunal Kashyap, Ninjas Hyper, Devashish, this is the move that was played and it was a tough one. I can tell you that. Knight f6, threatening knight e4 and knight g4. So you want to play knight e5, but that does only one thing. The knight on f6 will do two things. this and this. So he played rook f4, trying and hoping that at least he can save himself. Knight to e4. Well, when it comes to tactics, there's no one better than Gary. He first saw that you cannot take, because after bishop e4, the white king is toasted in the corner. Well, Karpov took on d3. And now, everyone in the chat, guys, what do you play here as black? Black to play. I want at least 200 answers for this one. What should black play here? It's a simple move, but also a nice one. Let's see how many of you can answer this. We have 168 moves already here. Wow, fantastic. Yes, and 165 people have given the right answer. Let's wait till 200. The right move is knight f2 check. Beautiful, guys. Well done. Excellent. Paras, Darshit, Namit Bir, Sals, Belligerence, Yogi, Om, Bhagyansh, Vishnu, and Ajinkya. The move here that was played in the game is knight f2 check. Now you have to take here, because if you move the king, you will lose in many different ways. Maybe the simplest is to take on d3, rook d3 and knight d3, and you are just winning. So he played rook f2. Now he took the queen, rook e d2, rook f d2, and again a strong move here. Actually, at this point, it shows Kasparov's ability to finish off games. I also want you to think here, take your time and try to figure out how should black finish in the most efficient way. If you count material right now, 2 rooks for 2 rooks, a bishop for bishop. So actually, it's just 1 queen. I mean, white has only 2 pieces. It's not much. And 1 pawn, 2 knights and a pawn. So what should you play here? Think. I think a very natural move that all of you are suggesting, and I'm very, very happy that you all are suggesting this move, is rook e3, because in a way, you just want to defend your bishop. But there is a problem with this move. Can you find it? White to play. What is the problem here with this move? What is the problem with rook e3? It seems like a very powerful move defending the bishop. Jaideep, not bishop f1, because then I can just get my bishop out with a check. So not bishop f1. Something else. Come on, think. Looks bishop f1 is the right move. Yes. Gizmogal, Virsela, Charvi Chaudhary, Avishkar Pense, Om Gupta. The move is knight b2. And yeah, I think that here you can still, after rook c3, still fight on, because after, let's say, knight takes c3, I can play pawn takes, attacking both. And if you play rook d3, I have rook d3. Now you take with the knight, I have c2. And if you take with the rook, well, there are many ways, but cb2 is the easiest. Next move, queen, and it's lost. So, yes, rook e3 is not a bad idea. But look at Kasparov's confidence here. He plays the move queen e3. Queen e3. Why did he do that? He gave up a piece. What was his plan? Black to play, guys. Black to move. What do you do here? Let's see if you can answer this. It's not a tough one, but it was very important to see this. And it's with these moves that you can finish. Many times you complain, I was winning and then I lost the game. I gave a lot of counterplay. So you learn from Kasparov how clinically he finished off Karpov. Gave him no chance here. No, not queen e1 check, guys. Queen e1, rook e1, bishop f1. Okay, possible. I think even that seems pretty good actually. A lot of you have said queen e1. Then queen e1, bishop f1. Is that working? I see that. I see your excitement here, and here. And this is better. I mean, this should be winning. But what if I go bishop f1? It's these little moves which create the trouble. And it's not over yet. Now if we count the pieces, I have 3 pieces for a queen. So if you don't finish me off soon, you will be in trouble. So the right move that has been suggested here in the chat by all of you is rook c1. Well done. Om Shri, Paras, Ishprit, Aditya, Satik Pal, Kunal Kashyap, Anike Gupta, Swapnil Telang and Mayur Gondalekar. Well done. So the move is here rook to c1. And now if you see, the difference is that I'm threatening to either take here, or I'm also threatening now queen e1. It will be more powerful. You can't take the queen because after rook d1 check, bishop f1, rook e3, this is hanging. So that's over. He went knight b2. And now Kasparov played another strong move. I think this is another example of how to finish off your opponent. So black to play. What do you do here? Black to move. Come on. These are not for points, but just so that you guys are alert and you are able to figure out what to do. Queen e1 is what many of you want to do. Queen d3, queen e2. Okay, let's look at each of these moves. First of all, queen d3 would be fine after, because you have correctly figured out if knight d3 you can take here. But after rook c1, you still have to win this. I mean, you are winning, but the other move that was suggested was rook d1, right? 1 second. Queen e1, yeah, queen e1. Now queen e1 here, take on e1, because if bishop f1, you will play rook d1, queen e4, possible. Oh, we have time up. Yeah, I mean, the game is over. It was the last move anyway. So here, this is also possible to play. But look at Kasparov's accuracy. He goes queen f2. Queen f2 is a very powerful move. The idea is rook e1. Game over. Matlab, what Kasparov would do, guys, is that he would calculate everything very, very accurately. Matlab, he used that Laskar's term very well. When you spot a good move, look for a better one. He's also attacking this knight here. So after knight d2 was played, if you play rook c1, there is rook e1 check and game over. So knight d2 was played, but then after takes, and rook e1, it was all over. Karpov resigned because after knight f1, rook f1, bishop f1, queen f1, he's mated. But what a game, right? What a game. It was so beautiful. I mean, when I saw it, when I was a young boy and I saw it, I didn't understand it so much. I didn't understand that why would Kasparov give up a pawn on d5? Now that I look at it with fresh eyes right now, I see that it was for piece activity and to play against this knight on a3. And you might argue that, oh, at some point in the game, like here, he could have easily got back his knight to c4. But remember, in his head, Karpov didn't want to agree to a draw. Karpov didn't want to go into positions which were drawish. He wanted to fight for an advantage, so he saved his pawn. And here, once again, he could have thought of, getting his knight back into the play. It was a good move. But this very thing here after b5, once these knights were blocked, it was all over. Like the octopus knight. Remember the octopus knight. That is the real beauty of this game. This knight. And also, while those knights, the d3 knight is an octopus knight, these knights are just horrible. They could do nothing. So, did you enjoy this game, guys? If you enjoyed it, please do write down later on in the comments after this video. I'll end it in a minute or so. I'll please write down in the comments what you learned from it. If someone has the time and energy and also the enthusiasm, please do write down the timestamps of the 10 questions, 11 actually here in this game. I usually then put his name and in the description that these are timestamps provided by so and so person. It helps for people to navigate through the video better. But overall, I hope you enjoyed it. And we will be back again with the next episode. I can tell you that the upside of this series is that you are learning certain classics in this interactive and, I would say fun way, because we are having fun. And then you will be able to, remember this, because these are the games on which your intuition is built, your chess understanding is built. So that's what I saw when I was young, and I'm glad that you are able to watch them. So even if you don't see tangibly how you can use this idea in your games, just guess the moves. That is good enough. It builds up your intuition and your ability to play good chess. So take care, guys, and I'll be back later with some more stuff. But until then, goodbye. See you. Do make sure you like this stream and also subscribe to ChessBase India if you haven't. Take care. Bye-bye.